Hey everyone, today we are speaking with Nika, aka Zola Jesus. I'm pretty excited about this one. If anyone has questions as well that they would like to ask, please send it to me through the question, the little box down the bottom with the question mark. That way I'll get them directly and won't miss them as everyone's comments are going up as well. Hey Jessie Lee. So we'll just wait for Zola to jump in. We changed some times around because it was quite late where Nika is. So got some big hair today. Here she is.
Hi.
Hey! How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm really good, yeah.
Good.
For a Sunday, you know.
Yeah.
It's Saturday night there though, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for changing the time, by the way.
Oh, it's totally fine. I was like, fine.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just think I'm like constantly like time zones, time zones.
I
Ah.
know it's all just, we should just get rid of them, right? Let's just agree
Yeah,
on
it's
one, settle
one
it,
thing. I
whatever.
know. And especially because we're like, I'm like the future. I'm like a day ahead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm always like got to remember like whenever I put the date on, it's actually the next day that I'm doing it,
Yeah.
not the day.
Anytime I've been
Nuts.
in Australia, it's so hard for me to just get accustomed to how different the time is. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
this
And
is
when
confusing.
you go back, you lose your days.
It's so disorienting.
Because
But
it's like, oh, so I remember when I've gone to America, you go backwards, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah, you
like,
kind of lose time. I've
yeah, so
actually
you,
thought about that a lot because COVID has been so strange that there are days where I just feel like I lost the days, and I'm like, well, I've
yeah,
also lost days going to Australia, so at least I was like cognizant for this day, you know?
yeah. I've definitely lost days. Sometimes I feel like I've lost a week with
Yeah,
this COVID thing. Like I'm constantly have to check like my phone, like what the date is, or else I'm
same.
like,
Yeah,
I have no idea what I'm like. I'm like, what am I meant to do anything today? I don't know.
time has stood still strangely in a very strange way.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, you're right. Someone's like, Megan's like, when you go to America, you go backwards. She's like, truth. Actually,
That's
yeah, makes
true.
sense.
Yeah,
Um,
get me out of here.
yeah.
Save me.
But you're
Save
kind of
me.
you're a little bit further like isolated out, aren't you? Like from like cities.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I live in the woods in the middle of no, in, yeah, just,
Yeah, so you're kind of like at least you're not like right in the hub of like being surrounded by everybody.
yeah, but everyone up here is pretty conservative. So the
Yeah.
ideology is just so different, and there's not a lot of connecting between the two. So that's strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, at least in cities, there's more diversity of thought. But I am like COVID wise, I'm happy to be where I am right now for sure.
Yeah, it's a much better place to like get just be away. Like I live
Yeah.
quite close to like everything. So like I just see craziness all the time.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, you people, what are you doing? Ah, you know
I
what I
know.
mean? Like,
Humans are so
ah,
confusing.
I
It's like
know,
it's so
I know.
strange. Why are we drawn to the very things that are inhuman in us, you know? Like
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like we're so often just fighting against our nature.
yeah, all the time. And I was actually thinking like last night, and then like when we were going to talk, and I was like, one of the things that like I love most about you and that I always like enjoy is that you're not afraid like to just engage in any discourse about anything. Like I love it. Like it's my favorite thing. Like because you'll just be like I'm blah 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 blah, and like
Yeah.
and like I love that. Like you're just like you know, you're not afraid to like talk or be right or wrong or whatever. It just, talking is better than no talking at all and just like not
Yeah.
having a discussion about anything.
Yeah,
Um, and
definitely.
then, and you did like, you've got a double major in French and philosophy.
I
Is
minored
that
in
right?
philosophy, so
Okay. Well, you may as well have
yeah.
majored. I just majored you, man.
Yeah.
You may
But
as well
yeah,
have.
I feel like I understand philosophy. Like I'm more interested in philosophy than I am in French, like in terms of what I use on a day-to-day basis. But
Yeah,
I got to
yeah.
the point where I was like, I need to graduate, so whatever I can just get out.
I just want to get out, get out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I feel like a lot of people do the same thing. I mean, but of course you have to pay where you are to
Yeah,
go.
yeah,
Where I mean, here we don't pay essentially. Well, we pay, but in a weird,
yeah,
never pay kind of way.
yeah.
So
It's so
people
much
tend
nicer.
so people tend to go to university so much here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
do more degrees and like that kind of thing because you can, you know,
Oh,
it's which is
that would be
like
amazing to be able to just like if I could just be like a lifelong student and I would because
there
there's
are
so many
people here like
times
that.
that I would just be like a professional student. There's so
Yeah,
many things I want to go back to school for, but then I'm like I can't just like be in debt for the rest of my life studying like,
yeah,
prehistory or whatever.
yeah. It's like there's so many like epic courses in like I was looking like in England, like you can learn some of the most craziest shit. And like I was like,
Yeah.
wow, I wish they taught some of that stuff here because we could just do it for free.
I
And it was
know.
like,
Yeah.
but like
Oh, it's amazing.
yeah, it's good that way. Like 'cause you kind of but yeah, you kind of like I that was like my thing, I think. I was a nerdy like
Yeah.
love going to school kind of person.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I was like, I love class, yay, like
Yeah.
loser at the back. But yeah, yeah. But then toward the end, you just like get me out. Sick of
Yeah.
like um, you know, assignments and assignments and assignments and
Yeah.
bleh, like all
Well,
that
getting
kind of stuff.
bullied. Who wants to get bullied anymore? That's
Oh,
what I was just
yeah,
like, I'm just sick of being the weirdo. Let me just get out of here. This was in high
yeah,
school, but like,
yeah. Of course. I mean,
just
because you were in Wisconsin, yeah, when
mhm.
you were high school, yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up in a really small town that was super conservative,
Mm.
like, really like homophobic, really racist, very
Mm-hmm.
sexist. So like, yeah, it was really like a difficult place to grow up. And because you are the like I was already the outcast
Yeah. Yeah.
because of my art, music, the way I looked, everything, like, and just the things that I was into. And then, yeah, add all these other things, and you're just like the biggest weirdo on earth there. But I kind of feel like it gives, I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel like it made me a stronger and a better person. Like now, when I look back on
Mm-hmm.
it, whereas
Yeah.
at the time I obviously hated it, but
Yeah.
like now I look back and I go, it made me like a bloody tough ass bitch and not care about what people think and
Totally. Yeah.
like because you're just so used to like people doubting you or like you know
Yeah.
anything that so you kind of get that a bit you grow a thicker skin, I think, like that helps
Totally.
you
Yeah.
later because I see
Yeah.
like lots of younger like younger people now, and they're like they're just so pampered, and I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my god, they're it's gonna take them so long to learn lessons that we learned when we were like teenagers. We already knew how shit
Yeah.
works.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was totally like ego death or whatever very early on.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly. And you kind of
not
like
much else you can say.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, when they just sort of haven't gotten this yet, So
Yeah.
I feel like that's why I love talking to other women who are like have been the outcast and have like
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
know what it's like to be weirdo and also like just like the whole like bullying thing, and like it's amazing. Like people probably think, what, zoology is like bullied, like why, and it's like because this is real life. Like all the kids who were awkward, weird, and like whatever,
Mhm.
like they get bullied, they always sort of grow up to be real rad people. And
Mhm.
all the people who weren't are all like boring and like just have a husband and like run a, you know, a
Yeah.
gas station. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they've got
Like
less
I,
to prove, you know? For me, it's like, wow, I'm a piece of shit or I'm a this, that. Okay, well, I got to prove you, I've got to prove that I'm not. But, you know, then you're kind of
yeah,
starting with this like level of PTSD where you're like, everyone hates me, so I've got to do
yeah,
something to make them prove that I'm worth loving. It's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
that's also not healthy.
yeah, yeah. That's also
But
like, yeah, it's a, but as you kind of like jump between it, because I know
yeah.
you've also struggled as well with, you know, dealing with depression and stuff. So have I. And you know, it is such a, like, I know you know, you were going through troubles with it, and you know, then
Mm-hmm.
you moved home, um, and you know, essentially you're feeling so much better now. I understand, like now that you're back home compared to what you were.
Yeah, yeah, I think just getting a sense of stability in my life was really important. And for me, that meant having a home, you know, like
Hmm.
um, for me, my like home, my womb, that sacred space, it's very important to me. And so I feel like once I had that, I was close to family. You know, being back here, I never thought I would come back to where I grew up because I got out of here as soon as I could.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
because it doesn't, you know, there's not a lot of like emphasis on trying different things or being into different things, and I, you know, I was just thirsty for that. But now, you know, there's the internet and I travel a lot, so
yeah,
being able to come back here and still be able to feel like I'm having a really like enriched cultural life in other ways was really paramount. But yeah, I'm definitely feeling better. I mean, albeit the world is in complete and utter just decay, but you
yeah,
know, at least I feel like I'm not feeling so aimless or floating, or you know what I mean, when you kind of don't have
mm,
roots, you don't have
yeah,
a place to really sink in. So I'm grateful for that right now very much.
yeah. Like, because it's
Yeah.
just it's such a, I mean, just not having that, like that feeling, and having the depression and like that whole, like, you know, like burden of like I'm gonna fail and everyone thinks I am gonna fail anyway, so I may as well fail, like, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And like, you know, I love that attitude. I think I read somewhere that, you know, you were like, I've got nothing to lose. And it's like that, that's exactly like was always my thing. It's like I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah,
All I've
yeah.
got, you know, you've only got, um, or you can only gain when you're already on the shit pile.
Right?
Like,
Yeah.
it's
But
like
it's
you're
like,
like, you know,
yeah, definitely. But it's like that can be empowering or it can be totally disabling where you're like, I
yeah,
have nothing to lose, I have nothing to gain, like what's the point, you know? But when you feel like there's like this empowerment to it, that's what really feeds me. It's like, wow, life is meaningless. That's not depressing. That's actually kind of empowering. You're like, we
yeah,
create the meaning ourselves. I can work with that, you know, I can create meaning.
yeah.
Um, but
And
yeah.
I was like, and I was gonna say, and like the meaning and like and energy and also like connection became really important to me. Like,
Mm,
and
totally.
that was like that's how you make meaning. That's how you, you know, you enrich your life and other people's lives, and you know, and it feeds
Totally.
into each other. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, I think amazingly, you know, you've been able to do that through your music. You know, and so many, it's crossed over like so many, you know, different countries, different languages, different, like, you
Yeah.
know, um so many different types of people, like, um and you know, you did some of the first singles like pretty much when you were studying and then just came out, so like it must be like looking now, like saying, like, you know, do you consider yourself now like I'm a musician, I am a musician now, like, and kind of like, you know, you
Mm,
see that thing, or do you still kind of, is it like this an ongoing like thing, you know?
hmm. I feel like the when I first started, like I had studied music, uh, you know, privately and you know whatever, like my whole childhood. Music was just an enormous part of my life. But when I started Zola Jesus, I had kind of like not. I don't know. I just had gone through this breakup with music in a way, with classical music.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting all these really bad habits and just forgetting everything and not wanting to really use that knowledge, and I ended up losing a lot of it. But then once I got more, once Zola Jesus became a thing, and I started being more productive under that moniker, I had felt like I wasn't real, like I had the imposter syndrome, where I just
Hmm.
started to doubt that I was good. I started doubting everything. I mean, to this day, I deal with crippling self-doubt. But
Yeah.
what helped
I
me, sorry.
I was just gonna say, I think all great artists do, and if you don't, maybe there's something a little off.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I feel like
total
if
sociopath
you
vibe.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, if you don't question some of your work, like, or have that thing, then yeah, I think
Yeah.
maybe there's a little bit off on you.
Yeah, you got to have a balance, you know. I think,
Mm,
yeah, so what helped me was just really studying the blade, you know, like
hmm.
taking voice lessons again. I took voice lessons again, and for the past couple of years I've been studying again, you know, just amping up my knowledge of music theory again, just getting to a place where I can walk into a room and I feel comfortable jamming with people. Because before, you know, when you're making music in such a solitary, intuitive, idiosyncratic way, it's
Yeah,
so hard for you to communicate that with other people or feel like you share something with them, because you created this little language for yourself, but you can't really communicate with other people. So
yeah,
learning common languages and just becoming more comfortable with being able to feel like, oh, I'm a musician, like I can contribute to this song or this idea, and I can work with people, or I can, you know, communicate my ideas better. That gave me a lot of, and just experience of, you know, working on records and being more assertive and, you know, really fighting for things. And I didn't fight for anything. I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't know. I'm like I was fighting for the, like I'm fighting against myself. That's what I'm like fighting against
yeah,
myself to
yeah.
do
I'm like,
everything.
you're in the ring. I'm
Yeah,
like,
like
yeah,
people holding me back, and I'm like, stop holding me back. I'm holding myself back. Like, really, that's sorry.
yeah.
I had to catch myself. But
No,
yeah, no, I've
that's exactly. I mean, I feel the same. I feel like, my biggest critic and my biggest enemy is always myself, more
yeah,
so than
yeah,
anyone else. And you kind of know. And I think when you've experienced like anxieties and depressions and things like that, and you're so much more attuned to picking up when you're doing that stuff, like,
totally,
and
yeah,
and you kind of tell, you're doing it, and you can tell yourself like you're doing that.
yeah.
Stop doing it. But like, you have a little bit more awareness, but it doesn't mean you can always like just switch it off. Like,
Yeah,
mm,
it's a process. It's kind of like, you know, I feel like I've almost had to treat it like a 12-step program or something, like just in terms of healing my relationship with myself and being like, being able to go down to the studio and make nothing or make total garbage and feeling okay with that. Like,
mhm.
you know, just allowing myself to fail to myself, like, because that became harder and harder. And that's something that I think a lot of musicians deal with, both external and internal pressures of having to, everything you make having to reach some sort of level of finality, like immediately. And it's got to like
Yeah,
participate in some like dialogue with like all your other work. It's like, no, man, you can just write a song and you can literally just delete it from your
yeah,
mind, delete it from
yeah,
wherever, you know, doesn't have to
yeah,
be a part
yeah.
of anything. Like, anyway, yeah, the artist brain is so delicate. It's really annoying.
But I mean, at
But
least you've kind of, in a way, you're like, you've got a part of that freedom, because you're like, you're more of, you're the solo artist, so you've kind of got a bit more control. Whereas, like, I mean, if you were playing where you're like with a band where you all have equal parts, you're dealing with
yeah,
like everybody's neuroses and everybody's goals and everybody,
oh my
and
God, I
like,
can't imagine.
so like, at least you've got you're in charge of your own realm. You've only got
Yeah,
like sort of the outside things and like, record company things and whatnot, but you yourself have got that
yeah,
artistic, direction and control, which
yeah,
I
yeah,
think a lot of bands, like, yeah, I always wonder how people, like, like, you always watch band things, and there's always like craziness happening, and like,
yeah.
and like, I'm always like, oh my God,
That
imagine like
Metallica
dealing with
documentary, was it some kind of monster?
the
Oh my
best. Yeah,
God.
it's the
I was
best.
crying. I was crying the whole
Yeah,
time. The fact that their therapist is in there, like writing the record with them and stuff, and oh,
right? You just
That
like,
is why bands are not a sustainable act, you know.
mm,
They're not sustainable because how can all these people like agree on everything at all times, especially when it's artistic? Like I
mhm.
can't agree with people that I hire or contract to work for me. Like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
sometimes we fight to get the same thing, and it's like that power dynamic is different. I can't imagine being in a band. It's
yeah.
crazy.
I know, because like, yeah, I mean that documentary is like amazing
So
in so
good.
on so many levels, because like I guess because not only is it like crazy band and then crazy egos and like all this toxic masculinity, but it's like also years and years and years of being together.
Yeah.
So it's like
It's a
oh,
marriage with like
oh
a
yeah. So
group
it's
of
like
dudes you
over the
sorry.
time you change, like.
Totally.
So when they started, they would have, all like, yeah, man, young, like loving it. And then like
Yeah.
they go through all these different life phases. And now it's like, now they've got therapists and blah, like, yeah, that was nuts.
Yeah.
That was
So
nuts.
good. If anyone is watching this and has not seen that Metallica documentary, I think it's called Some Kind of Monster.
It
It's
is.
You're gonna be crying. It's so good. It's
Yeah,
like Spinal Tap. I can't believe.
it is. It's like,
Thank
at
you.
first you're watching it and like, there's just so many moments where you're like, what are they being serious? And
Yeah,
then you're
I
like,
would.
oh my God, they are. And you're like, that's the bit that gets you, is that like they're not, it's not funny to them, they're being dead
Yeah.
serious. And you're
I'm
like,
so
oh my
grateful
God.
for them. I'm so glad. Like I'm just so thankful that they decided to bring like a camera crew and document that very specific experience.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Even if it's just for us to like people to learn like how not to be, or like,
yeah,
but also it just shows like, I guess, like the truth, and like the shit that you don't see behind scenes and stuff that you only find out about like when a band breaks up and they all talk
totally.
shit on each other or write a book or like, whatever. And instead they're
Yeah.
like, well, let's turn this into a learning experience, like let's document it so everyone can watch and laugh. And
Talk about pathological. Like,
well, yeah, yeah, and you can buy it, so they earn money off it and everything. It's just like, it's
yeah.
insane. It's such an insane thing. And I was gonna say, like, in we do like a lot of the same things as well. It's like, I was like laughing because I was just like, you went through your true crime phase, which I'm still can't.
It's a
I get sucked
phase.
into. Well, yeah, well, not for me. It's a lifelong.
It's
It's
a
a lifelong thing.
lifestyle. True crime
Yeah.
is a lifestyle.
Well, like people have like the phase where they read about
Yeah,
serial
yeah.
killers and stuff, and then they kind of move on. No, no, no. It
There's
didn't
a
happen that
period.
way.
I mean, you've got to kind of ebb and flow with it because it can really drive you insane. As we saw
Oh
with
yeah,
Michelle McNamara, who kind of revealed the Golden State Killer, and she ended up dying because of it.
because of
Horrible.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, you so many, like, yeah, I'm like obsessed with the shows and like with the
yeah,
like I'm
yeah,
like, I mean, I'll watch it again. I know the story, but I'll watch it again. Like every time they make a
yeah,
bloody a Dharma thing or whatever, I'll watch it. I already
yeah.
know what's gonna happen. I'll still watch
And
it.
what's the deal
Like,
with Australian true crime? Because there's so many great like Case File is a
oh
great
yeah,
podcast. Like I feel like Australians really like their crime.
yeah, we
Well,
do,
wait a minute. Of course you do. You guys are all
I
like
was well, come on
you're
now.
all
We can't even,
prisoners.
yeah. I was gonna
Like
say,
I
come
don't get
on.
it. Like why do they like crime so much? It's
Because
mind-boggling.
it's a weird. No, we do like crime a lot. Um, I don't know. I think it radiates, I think, from like just like a lot of Australia is middle class, like lower class, middle class, I think, and we have a big class divide. And
Mm,
I don't know. And then there's like, there's a lot of small towns,
yeah.
a lot of land with nothing, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's not like you can just kind of drive, however, and then get you're in another town. So like
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a bit of a hotbed in certain areas for crime,
Yeah.
and like obviously, I mean, did you go to Adelaide when you were here?
No, I didn't.
Well, Adelaide is like known for like, it's like the city of churches and serial killers.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah. So it's full of religious nuts, like all kinds of religious
Wow.
nuts. And then all these weird murders and stuff, like, a husband and wife, and then just had all these dead people in their backyard. Um, and of
Crazy.
course, you have you watched Snowtown?
No.
Watch
Is
that.
it
That
is it a
that that
documentary or is it
it's a movie, and it's like, but it's based on the real killing, and
Oh,
that's like,
cool.
yeah, that's a serial killer one. That's like really probably one of the, aside from the Wolf Creek,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
Snowtown's probably the other one that's the most popular. Like, oh, not
Mm.
popular, but the most famous, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
In terms of serial killers. And then like there's oh my God, I'll have to send you the link to the documentary. But
Yeah, yeah.
there's
Just
this
send me stuff.
there's this cult. There was this cult, and yeah, the lady like would just adopt all these children as her own and dye all their hair blonde. Like they look
Oh, I've heard
like
about this.
the Village of the Damned, and there's a
Yeah,
picture, and
yeah.
one of them looks like what's his name? The guy who's been in oh my goodness. That famous guy who's always he's being extradited and held, like WikiLeaks
Oh,
guy.
Assange, Julian Assange.
Yeah, one of them looks like him. And for years, because Julian Assange is from Australia, right?
Oh, that's
So
right. I forgot
so
about
for
that.
yeah, so like for years, people were saying that it was him. Like, and so it was this big like
Would have put it past him.
this big myth that like he was like one of those children in this cult,
Whoa,
but
whoa.
he actually wasn't. But
Hmm.
the kid looks so much like him. It's next level.
Oh my
But yeah,
gosh.
I can't remember. I think it's just called maybe The Family,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
possibly.
it. Yep. I've been
Yes,
meaning to
The
watch that one.
Family. Yeah, and they're all wearing these. Yeah, it's creepy as
I'm
hell.
gonna watch. I'm
And
so excited.
they live in the forest like sort of area. But
Mm,
yeah, there's like
cool.
tons like of weird little ones, and then of course the Wolf Creek one everyone knows. The Snowtown is disturbing. Um, yeah, and that's like, it's a small town, and
Yeah.
when you can see like that, it's got all those old values and very like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
like horrible attitudes towards other people and stuff. So it's pretty,
Yeah.
whoa. But yeah, like
Yeah.
it just kind of started as a thing and then escalates. So yeah, you should definitely watch that one.
Cool.
Um, I mean, I remember the first time I watched the Wolf Creek one, and I was like, shit. Like,
Yeah. I've.
like I was like, holy crap! Like, cause I remember like when they were trying to find him, like they still had no idea who he was, and all these
Mm,
murders were happening, like still, like, but they couldn't find anyone, like they couldn't find who the killer was,
okay.
but so it was like going on, while I was growing up. So
That's
it was like it was the whole time we
that's
were like, and
terrifying. Were you concerned or were they just all in like a different part of Australia?
they were all in like the top of Australia, so in the desert.
Mm.
Like,
Oh,
so that
wow.
they were all like way up there in the middle of nowhere. So that's why like it was like, so backpackers go up there all the time,
Yeah.
and like, and they wanted to go and like go and do hikes and camp or like whatever. And yeah, he would just abduct them, and no one will miss you because it's just barren land,
Yeah.
and so
Man.
their like families wouldn't notice for like a year, because
Oh my gosh.
they were meant to be there for that long, like just hiking or like, and moving around the whole of Australia. So like,
Yeah.
and then we'd end up with, and there's still heaps apparently of missing cases that we don't know if it was that guy or not, like,
Oh my gosh.
but yeah, it was this huge period where like backpackers just kept going missing, and it was like them trying to find them, and yeah, and like not being able to, find bodies and things and whatever, and yeah, but
Wow.
pretty nuts, like
Yeah.
pretty nuts. And the guy who plays him, is a from a children's, like, I don't know if you have like a real, I don't know, think about like the most wholesome children's show where they're like, hey, this is a square and this is a
Oh,
circle.
wow.
That the actor is from from a show, yeah, called, that was like for little kids, like
Yeah.
real little kids. And then he got this role, and he's scary as hell. And I'm like, I remember that guy he was on Play School, and now I'm like
Oh.
ruined. But
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
like that's pretty scarring.
yeah, but I was like, um, what kind of reminded me of it was because I love Soak so much, that song. I just love
Oh,
it.
thank you.
It resonates with me so much. And then I kind of was thinking about how, you know, these songs, translate so differently to everybody, and you get your own thing out of it, And it's like I
Mhm.
had no idea that song was written, from the perspective of a serial killer's victim.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, why does this resonate with me now? Now I'm like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
but I find it like an incredibly empowering song.
Oh,
The song is
thank
Soak.
you.
Someone's just asking me again. Yeah, and I find it like an incredibly empowering song and like just so moving. And then I remember when I found out that that's what it
Yeah.
actually was, I was like, wow, that's like full on. Because like, what inspired that one? Like, you were just digging,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I don't, it's strange. It's like I came up with the beat and then I just came up with something, a musical motif or whatever. And I just kind of, sometimes this is how I write songs. I close my eyes and I just try to like feel what it's saying. And then I
Yeah.
just felt myself kind of like at the end of a dock and, or like in, I don't know, like I'm not going to explain the
No.
visuals, but I had a
You
very vivid.
psycho.
Yeah, yeah, right. I'm like, and I was in a bag, and it was weird. Um, no, but there was like a very like strong visual for whatever I was hearing or seeing, and so then I just followed that. And yeah, I mean, at that point, I was doing. I had just. It was like before Sword and Scale became like a problem or whatever, when they were just like really hard true crime. And I
Yeah.
was listening to that like every single night. I got obsessed with it. I got really into like a lot of weird cases and looking into like strange murders that happened around me. And Ed Gein lived like an hour away
Hmm.
from where I'm from, and Dahmer's from here.
Yeah.
So when I moved back to Wisconsin, I had this kind of like Wisconsin death trip, kind of like, wow, this place is kind of dark. Like there's a darkness to it. And
Yeah.
that that has not ceased. My interest in these things has not ceased, but it was really at a peak then. So yeah, Soak just kind of was born from that.
Yeah. Because I was like, amazing, and then I was like, whoa, it's about that.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's
It's an
like, so that's
interesting
cool as well.
feeling. Yeah, I'm interested in that feeling of being the victim and knowing you're about to die, and
Mm.
especially being a female, like, or having sort of like a woman, or I don't want to say that, but like, there's this caretaking that I feel sometimes, especially when I feel like I'm being like someone's maybe, I don't know, I feel like I'm potentially the victim of something, or I'm in a violent situation. I,
Yeah.
I really over empathize with the perpetrator, and I sort of like really want to caretake them, because I'm like, what happened to you,
What happened to you? Yeah.
and let me,
Yeah.
but then there's also this female sort of idea of like, let me take care of you, but in order to take care of you, I need to play along with your thing, which means I need to die. So there's this like submissive role that happens where it's like, I want, yeah, and I'm not sure. I've never been in this situation, so I don't know. But I just thought about the complicated ideas that one would have as you're about to just like, you know, die out of such horrible circumstances.
Stances, yeah. And like whether, yeah. And like, because you kind of hear about people that have like, like they're just like, if I just don't fight it and submit, it'll be easier.
Yeah,
Like, or then you have the ones that just like choose to fucking fight to the death, you know what I mean?
yeah,
And then
yeah.
like, or I love it when there's like, one, oh, I can't think which murders it was I was watching, but like there was like a girl who got away, and it was
Mm-hmm.
one girl who got away, and didn't know that that person became that serial killer, but like,
Mm,
yeah, and then they kind of tied it all together later, like all these different murders, and it was like, it was him, like that got, she was just super lucky that,
mm,
like,
yeah.
um yeah, and isn't it like even isn't, I think even Debbie Harry Debbie Harry got picked up hitchhiking by a famous
Oh,
serial killer.
really? Wow.
Yeah, I can't remember who, but she remembers it. Like I remember her talking about it and
Did
being
anything
like,
happen to her?
no, I think she felt weird and like got out or something.
Good.
Um, yeah, I'm just gonna see if I can find it. Um, but yeah, she was hitchhiking, like yeah, and yeah, Ted Bundy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she got in the car with Ted Bundy in the early 70s. And I think it was Ted Bundy that I was thinking of that the girl got away.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, in the 70s, yeah, she got a lift with him, not knowing it was
Oh
Bundy,
my
yeah.
gosh.
Yeah. And then later
That's
did
insane.
obviously. So like,
Yeah.
yeah, but she had like a weird vibe or whatever, you know. And
Intuition's powerful
yeah, she would have been like,
in those
yeah,
moments.
nuts. Um,
Yeah.
but I was gonna say another song that always there's like I think I always can't not play is Wise Blood. So
Oh,
it's like it's another one that I'm like, yeah, all the time. You know when you have like the
oh.
ones that you keep playing,
Yeah,
they're like
yeah.
the obsession songs, like with all
Yeah,
different
totally.
artists, like ones that you just keep playing over and over and over. Um, but I was gonna say you know recently when you did your live stream with it was you and Black Mass,
Hmm.
um, and that was just so it was so beautiful to see you like so stripped down and
Hmm.
like do you have a preference like for playing? Like do you like prefer the strip down or is it like you have different moods and so sometimes you'll want to do that? Like I guess it's like a band has an acoustic, they do an acoustic set or they do an
Yeah.
electric like kind of thing.
Yeah. Lately I've really been preferring the more stripped down thing because it allows me to like emote more
Yeah, I think
and
your
have
like voice just really comes out when it's stripped down like
yeah.
that just like even on that live stream and I think there was one I watched you do on a roof somewhere in maybe New York a
Oh,
while
yeah,
ago. It
yeah.
was beautiful lights and stuff and it's
Yeah.
like your voice just bounds like
Mm.
not many people can sing like that stripped down like with such power so
Oh, thank you.
yeah
Yeah. It's fun to be able to use my instrument more, because when I'm just playing piano and singing, like my voice can tell the story in a different way and I
mm,
can push and pull with things. There's just more space to work with. There's
mhm.
more time. Like when I'm performing live, there's all these instruments, there's beats, there's like
Yeah,
things that are, just there's and it doesn't change and I just kind of fill a role. And that doesn't really feed me as much even though I like the pomp and circumstance of
yeah.
having like a show and lights and like my soul is really nourished by just really being able to like connect in a quite a raw way. So that's where I get my my rocks off or whatever.
Yeah, like sorry, this made me laugh. Um, I was gonna say as well, like you played Roadburn, and and I love that recording because you're so funny on it. Like,
Oh, really?
yeah, you're just like
Oh.
I think there's a moment where you're like, I'm gonna play like a pop song, and like, and you're like, just like the whole way through, you're like just so pleased to be there, and like why is anyone here watching me? And
Yeah, it was,
but I mean, it must have been such a surreal experience because Roadburn is such a fully heavy metal like kind of vibe, and
yeah,
although they have kind of they've evolved into having all these amazing like solo artists and different things now, but like there's still that like huge contingent
yeah,
that's like the kind of crazy like hard metal kind of dudes and stuff
yeah.
and whatever. Like, what was the whole experience like?
It was awesome. Like I was so honored to play because that's honestly like my friends and like my scene, like it's more like that.
Everyone plays it, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, my friends are all like in metal bands and noise bands, and that's like the scene that I came up in. Like I come from a punk noise background. So
Hmm.
being at Roadburn was more exciting than if I were to go to like play Coachella or something. Whereas like
Yeah,
when I play these regular festivals, there's a part of me that's like, cool, I'm like playing with like all like the like I'm part of the conversation or whatever.
yeah,
But
yeah,
when I'm playing like things like Roadburn, I'm like, oh, I'm like with my people, like all these bands I want to see. I'm super stoked. Like it's more like fulfilling or nourishing because I'm like around people that I feel like I just relate to more. Whereas I don't really
more, yeah,
relate to like being on EDM bills or whatever. But I'm still really
yeah,
happy to play
yeah.
those festivals. But just about, what's your culture? Like, even though I make pop music, I feel like my culture is more aligned with Roadburn than it is
Mm.
any,
I love,
you know.
I see, I love that you call it pop music because I would not call it pop music ever. Like, so
Yeah.
I
Well,
love that
it's
you say that.
relative, right? Like
Yeah.
because it's like when I know, like I don't, I'm not saying that I know all the music that exists in the world, but like I know how weird shit can get, and then it can get even weirder than I even know. But like when I listen in my spare time to just like harsh wall noise or like industrial, things that are just completely experimental and completely like, atonal, that like what I do and by comparison feels like I feel like Britney Spears. So it's like I'm like I'll be like the Britney Spears, like if I can be like the Christina of the noise world or something. Like no, I'm
That's so
embarrassed I said
funny.
that, but
Yeah,
I
please don't refer it. I'm just stuck. Sorry, I'm stuck on something.
oh.
Yeah, no, like don't say that.
So yeah,
Not a Christina Aguilera.
I'm not
Um,
necessarily like, yeah, and I don't know if what I'm doing is pop, but I also really enjoy pop. Like I enjoy like the opportunity to really distill human emotions down in a way where you can connect with so many different types of people. Like I
mhm.
sometimes I feel like experimental music, it's sort of exclusionary and
Mm. It
you
can
know,
be, yeah.
yeah,
There's a like that the pretension part of it. Some bands, I think it's a deliberate move.
which is like it's great. I respect that, but personally I feel like I have a drive to just want to find the commonality between people, and pop or like a pop framework can do that because it's more like it's not that it's easier, but it plays on people's universal emotions more, which
Mm, yeah,
I find interesting. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I was like gonna say, yeah, the robot thing was amazing, and yeah, I love that
Thank you.
recording because it comes across so authentic, and
Yeah.
you're like, yay. Um, so it is really good. Like, have you been working towards your next album already? And
Yeah, I was.
yeah.
March, I was supposed to go to LA in March to record with this really, really well known and extremely talented drummer who was going to
Mhm,
shape the sound of the record because I want the record to be more collaborative and
mhm,
less me, more like other people.
mhm,
So that's been postponed. So I'm kind of at a standstill right now, trying to figure out what I do with my songs, if I go in a different direction. Part of me is
yep.
thinking about writing like an anarcho punk album in the meantime, because I have
That
a
would
lot
be
of like,
awesome.
yeah, I have like a lot. I'm very frustrated right now. So I'm thinking about maybe just putting my energy into writing another album and then like when I can travel again, then I'll pick up like this big
Thing
project that I'm working
all
on.
again. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was gonna say what if I could show it to you I would, but I was gonna say what is this there's this epic photo of you with blonde hair and I love it because it's all teased like full
Oh,
and I'm like
yeah, yeah,
that was the time. I was
yeah.
like, yeah, girl. I was like, yeah, and
That
that reminds me of the kind of anarchy punk
Yeah,
type
yeah.
thing.
That's
It
that's
was
what happens when
definitely.
you when you work with hairstylists and makeup artists that don't really know your vibe, and they're like,
Yeah,
"Oh, cool, you like kind of like you're kind of like weird, you're kind of like cool, punky, a little goth, you know?" And then
yeah, yeah.
and you're like
You can.
19, you're like, "I guess this is cool." Like so many of my like photos from back then were like me, people being like, "Oh, I'll help you style your hair, I'll help you style your makeup," and then I'm like, "This isn't me, but okay,
Yeah.
this is cool."
It's almost, I think that that one photo is like, I mean,
Yeah.
it's almost amazing. Like it's actually not. It's amazing because it looks like you're in the 70s. Like it actually looks like you're like hanging out with like I don't know Christian Death and like you know
Yeah.
Sisters of Mercy and
The
stuff.
Bromley
Like
contingent or whatever.
yeah, so it's kind of cool because like
Yeah.
what sometimes it's like I'll see that it's like wow yeah you were blonde. I totally forget that you were
Yeah.
blonde at one point in time. But
I
yeah, I
did that
ended
to
up.
try to, yeah, anyway.
Why did you do it?
Oh, I mean, yeah, I went blonde because I felt so, I felt like people were just really typecasting me. So I just went bleach blonde. I'm just like, that was like such like a young brain where it's like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to be goth, so I'm going to dye my hair blonde. It's like, oh, they
Oh,
couldn't beat
leave.
that shit out of you if they tried.
No.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always wanted to go the white blonde. You know, when Madonna had the white blonde,
Yeah.
and
It's
then
a, talk about a commitment. That's a commitment
it's too much, and it kills your
to
hair.
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like,
I don't have the energy for that. I don't have the passion for that anymore. I can barely put
yeah.
lipstick on. I've got to admit, it's, I can't.
Well, like for seriously for COVID, like my going out or like whatever you want to call it is basically like these things. So
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
ooh, I'll do my makeup today because I'm doing one of these things. Like
yeah, yeah.
it's like my little like, what? I'm actually doing something outside of the world, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because yeah, I've been very much in lockdown, like just not going out at all, really.
Same, yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's been kind of like that. But yeah, so I was gonna say with the yeah, I want to hear it. I want to hear this punk album one. So I totally
Well, I don't know if
endorse
it'll be punk per
it.
se, but the
Yeah, but
ethos, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the new like the bigger one that you're working on, obviously. Have you already got like themes and things for that, or is it
Yeah,
you
it's
sort of
totally
know?
underway. Yeah, I mean, the songs are written, most of the songs are written. The whole world is set. The story has been laid out. It's the
Hmm.
record that is meant to come after a COVID. It's just about everything
Yeah,
I've been going through. So I've been working on that. But yeah, so that's on hold
yeah.
for
I mean,
now. But yeah.
it's kind of amazing because like following you and seeing all the amazing pictures in the forest and with with the dogs and like all that kind of stuff. It's just like, it looks amazing there, and it looks like such a
Love
great
it.
place to play and to like be creative, um, and all that kind of thing. Someone wants to know if we you can share who the drummer is, but I'm assuming the answer is no.
Um,
Or do you?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it. I don't want to jinx it. It's
Don't jinx
yeah.
it. Yeah,
I'm not gonna jinx
keep
it. I would love to share,
keep it
but
on
I
lockdown.
more like it's more from energetically. I don't want to jinx it because whenever
Yeah,
I
no,
say
I
things, then
say
they
things.
never happen, and I'm even though I'm yeah, this is happening. But yeah, sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean.
I'm superstitious.
I'm the
That's it.
same. I'm like, yeah, I'm exactly the same. I was saying
Yeah,
this to my housemate yesterday. There's certain things that I just will not do.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know
I've
what I
become
mean?
more superstitious like the older I get, where I'm just like, I'm
Mm,
not gonna go.
yeah.
I don't know. I don't
No,
want to
no,
go near
no.
that.
As soon as
Yeah.
I say something, or even just a self-fulfilling prophecy, I never realized how much that is so true.
Oh yeah,
Like if you think something like you just like, no, I'm not going to get this job, or I'm
yeah,
just not going to get it. Like if you start to think that,
yeah,
you just manifest it.
yeah.
And it's like you don't realize it, and then later, then like sort of as I've gotten older, I've realized the power of doing that kind of thing,
Totally. Yeah.
as well. Um, we've got a question asking you like what your thoughts are on witchcraft and magic and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would never call myself a witch or anything, but I'm very interested in. in folkloric, like Slavic folkloric witchcraft and
Hmm.
magic. Especially recently, I've been really sort of working on my magical practice, and that's been really cool, really incredible. But yeah, it's like a private practice. You know, I don't like to talk about
Yeah, yeah,
it,
yeah. Do you
but it
like,
really,
but
yeah.
does your grandma, she know that kind
She
of thing
doesn't.
or
No, no,
no?
no. But it's just like ancestral, doing ancestral stuff. But
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I don't even do that as much as more just a lot of visionary stuff and um yeah, whatever. I don't want but yeah, it's like some people
Yeah.
are like sometimes I started getting really enthusiastic about magic when I first was really getting into it and seeing things, and I would talk to people about it, and then they're just like, "You're fucking crazy. You're a crazy bitch." Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
yeah,
"Okay,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna it's for me. This is
Yeah,
for me."
yeah.
But
It's like a
I do really feel
yeah, it's like
it's
a
like a,
personal thing. Yeah.
yeah, and it's also it's like a for me it feels like a technology, you know. So I use the technology for myself, but I don't really like when people are like really wearing that like it's an identity. It just makes me feel like
Mm.
it's not. I don't know. It's something that feels very sacred to me. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, I've been really interested in it, and it's really so far been very fulfilling. And the more time that I uh, spend devoting myself to it and really opening myself up, I just feel like the world has so much more depth and has so much more richness than we're usually
Mm.
provided in a non-magical world. Like
Yeah.
we're missing a whole aspect of the world that I feel like we've lost due to people just, you know, probably in you know post Christian in a post Christian world or in
Yeah.
like a post pagan world. Christianity kind of like subsumed most magic. So yeah,
Yeah, and I think well probably yeah, like America has like so much religion and so much
totally.
power. Like the religion has so much power over there.
Yeah,
Like I mean we have crazy cults over here and weird, like we have religion, but it's such a like it's become such a minor thing, like
right.
we
Yeah.
we we usually host like the this huge atheist convention every year where all
Cool.
of the speakers come over and stuff, and there's always protests every year. Like there's protests about like they're all Satan people and stuff, and they're all just like scientists and whatever. Like they're
Yeah.
usually that's who they are. Um, but yeah, it's quite crazy the amount of like when something like that happens. But we don't have our like church and state is a lot less connected, I guess,
Right.
than so it's a bit more. People here are more, I think, definitely our generation are more into spiritual whatevers. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And not religion,
Mm.
organized religion.
There's
So
been a resurgence of religion and especially Catholicism and Christianity in America, like especially within the alt-right communities and a lot of like, you know, form communities, like younger kids are getting into, you know, trad life, like, you know,
yeah,
Christianity and religion again, which is really interesting. I mostly feel like it's probably just due to the uncertainty of like our current world
yeah,
I think a lot of, but I also think that America struggles with a lack of spirituality
mm,
and and just like a more like holistic relationship to each other and to the earth and everything. And religion provides a set of guidelines that I think are really helpful for Americans and a sense of identity, which is also very helpful. But I don't think it provides that sense of accountability in a way that it may be used to. Um,
mm,
so I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the current state of religion in this world is so interesting because it's not necessarily religion, but it's more just like the spiritual aspect of life is being um,
well, I mean, the whole like modern witch thing, like, has like you were saying, it's personal to you, but there is there's a massive surge like in the last like probably three years,
Yeah.
where everybody's a Reiki healer or a tarot reader or
Yeah.
crystals and blah witch and whatever, and like and that's, I've got nothing against that, but it's definitely been there's been a huge resurgence in that kind of
Yeah.
thing, like, and people trying to find something that they can relate to, that they, and I
It's an
think that's
identity as well. I think people, I
mm,
see people use magic as an identity in the same way that people use religion or use witchcraft in the same way, where they can identify with it. They can be part of a collective sort of community. It's a
community, yeah,
subculture, So I see that, and then I also see just people, yeah, like really like losing control or not having control. People aren't losing
yeah,
control. They just never had it, but they're really realizing it now. And that's something that
yeah,
really
yeah,
drew me towards magic, was going through an incredibly turbulent time in my life when I needed something to feel like I had control over. So, that's
yeah,
usually what draws people into a practice, whether it's religious or magical or spiritual. But, I definitely see, yeah, I
yeah.
mean, it's so obvious just to see the world and the state it's in. And it's like, good riddance. Of course we need astrology right now. Like, we got nothing. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
we're living in a
yeah,
truly, and it's like, I'm, I'm an atheist, but at the same time, I do feel like the world exists in many different ways than we perceive it or experience it. Um, and we've been sort
yeah.
of
That's
these,
kind of how I think. It's like it's kind of like multi-dimensional, and I think we've been ignoring we've been ignoring some of those dimensions, like the
yeah,
ones with connecting to ourselves and the people around us, and
yeah,
like the world and the earth, and one of the biggest ones, like, um I always mention is like just energy. Not that, like, energy is so important, creating good energy and putting out good
hmm,
energy, receiving good energy, and that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
yeah, and people sort of think it's weird because you say, "Oh, I'm an atheist," but oh, I like crystals and I do this and
yeah.
that,
Well,
whatever. And it's
actually,
like,
yeah. I mean, I guess I would say I'm less of an atheist at this point. I'm more into Buddhism, because
yeah,
that provides me with a framework that I feel like is more constructive than atheism, which I
yep,
feel like atheism is an active denial in the spiritual world, but it doesn't really, you need to be pro something. And I feel
yeah,
like in terms of what works for me and what works for my beliefs is Buddhism. And I've really found a lot of progress, or just not progress, but I've really been able to connect with it. Um,
yeah.
so,
I think
but
the
yeah, it is weird for people to be like, I'm an atheist, yet I like crystals. And honestly, it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
maybe there's a wound there. Maybe there's a wound with people that, grew up having religion and then denouncing it, but still needing something. But
They
then
need
also
something.
at the same time, it's like, I do believe that, like, that magical energy, like you said, is energy and exists whether we like it or not. Like, and I'm not saying it's like here, but I'm saying, there are
Yeah,
things that we may not be perceiving that are definitely navigating us in ways.
in
Um,
ways. Yeah.
and that shouldn't be, and maybe sorry, I'm going to go on a rant, but, like, maybe we've been
Do
disabled from, being able to be empowered with that technology ourselves, because maybe we're not trusted with it, like in Siberian communities, like, there was one shaman, and that's who you went to, and that's who held the secrets, that's who held the gate open for you, or
yeah.
they did that work for you, they carried that knowledge for you. And
Mhm.
same in Native American religious communities, and that's what you
Yeah.
would consider a priest or a pastor. But at the same time, it's like, what, we should all be empowered with that technology,
Not
because
just, yeah, one.
otherwise it's like, it's autocrats. So
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say we're getting a warning that we've only got like 50 seconds left. Did you want to come back, or are you tired? Just checking with
I
you.
should probably go to bed. I've been actually having a very busy day, so I would love, yeah, I might have to go to bed now. It's quite late, but this was really lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's been great. There's a couple of times keep asking the same question, whether you would collaborate with Chelsea Wolfe.
Yeah, I mean she's great. I love her. If that ever happens, I'd be happy to. She's super
Yeah,
talented. Beautiful. Yeah.
yeah, be great to see.
One day
Yeah,
we'll see.
and yeah, I hope we see you back here in Australia again soon.
Me too. I miss it.
Yeah, it's great.
I've really connected with it. So
Yeah, and then I'll be able to. I think I was just really sick last time, so I'll be able to take you around and stuff.